Hi, everybody. My name is Mr. Kelly, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to take this opportunity to first thank you for tuning in. This is a new thing for me. I'm a fan of many YouTube channels, and so I will try my best to eventually get up to the level of expertise of many of the people that I watch and I admire very much. But I during this 2020 year, I've really been inspired to communicate some of the things that I'm very passionate about when it comes to my job. So I am a language arts teacher in the Detroit area of Michigan. I have been teaching for over 12 years, and easily my favorite thing about teaching language arts to young learners is the literature that we are able to really dive into. Now, when I was younger, a lot of this was novel studies, but as we found with the amount of standardized testing and time, NWEA goals that a lot of the students need to meet, it can be quite challenging to find time to do a lot of novel studies. So I've really been gravitating toward a lot of short stories in my career. And what I found was that a lot of these short stories kept appearing over and over and over in the same textbook collections that we would get no matter who the publisher was. It seemed like I kept seeing the same short stories over and over and over. Now, I do feel like textbooks have gotten a lot better as far as in the last couple year, well, probably since the beginning of my career, even with having different diverse authors that they are focusing on in their works. And I think that textbook companies have done great, but there's still so many wonderful short stories out there that teachers like you and I and or whoever, if you're watching this video as a teacher, I mean, or if you're just here because you're a lover of all things literature, this would be a great place for you too. But really, I guess the whole point of this YouTube channel is going to be for me to really communicate some different short stories that I've used or I plan on using in my classes, and exactly how I use those short stories to help engage learners, and really, really, really putting focus on stories that the kids will really actually truly enjoy um, reading and having and analyzing, um, and then taking inspiration from those short stories to hopefully make some of their own creative narrative writing. So, like I said, my name is Mr. Kelly. Right now, I teach sixth grade language arts, but I have taught in sixth, seventh, and eighth grade language arts in my career. And I do live in the metropolitan Detroit area. I teach in a town called Birmingham in Michigan. And really, to wrap up this introductory video, because I meant it just to be a short and sweet to the point video, I'll just kind of give you sort of some background as far as my taste goes, because as teachers, our personal tastes are going to factor in somewhat for how we dive into teaching short stories and literature instruction. So if everybody asks you, in your language arts teacher, who's your favorite author and why. And for me, it's hands down Ray Bradbury. You're going to find a lot of Ray Bradbury recommendations on this channel. But what I will not do is I will not do some in depth analysis on the overly done Ray Bradbury stories that I loved dearly. So, but I don't really see a need to do a video, obviously, for Fahrenheit 451, because that's a novel and this is going to be more short story related. But, we've seen the Velt done to death. We've seen All Summer in a Day. We've seen There Will Come Soft Rains done over and over and over. But as you know, as educators, Ray Bradbury has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories that he created over his um, long, long career. Rest in peace, by the way. So he is my favorite author, and definitely one of the authors I like using the most in the class. So you will see a lot of Ray Bradbury on here. And as far as books go, what books have really spoken to me? I really have three in my life that I always say are my favorite books that of all time. The first one, Catcher in the Rye, right? So Catcher in the Rye is easily the book that when I read it in high school was the book that got me to think differently about literature, and is the book that, if I were to pinpoint what book really inspired me to go into education, it would be Catcher in the Rye. This book changes, right? It's one of those books that change, that as you change when you read it again years later, it changes with you. So I try to read it about once a year, and it's fun. And it's funny that every moment in my life I read it and I pick up on different things, and I relate to the character or don't relate to the character in different ways. So it's really a book that has changed and evolved with me. Another book that I hold in really high regards and is easily one of my favorite books that speaks to me is Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. Um, I don't think there's ever been a book that has really put me in the mindset of the character more than this. As far as the plot is really is really hard to describe for Slaughterhouse-Five, but essentially it's a story about a man who is stuck in time, and but it's really about post traumatic stress and what that does to the human psyche. And it is a story that is unlike any other. It's very cliche to say that, but it really is a story like unlike any other. And as far as putting you in the mindset of the characters, it does it really well. And then third favorite book of all time is The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier. Huge fan of Robert Cormier's work in general. His short stories that he wrote in 8+1 are wonderful. Some of those will probably be making an appearance on this channel. But The Chocolate War is a story that I just admire so much. The courage that Robert Cormier had making a book that has very questionable themes and very questionable character motives, and really tackles bullying in a really real way. And it's one of those stories where people say, "What's the story? What's the book that you've read that has the most tragic ending, the saddest ending?" And I actually say Chocolate War, and the reason is because it's a book that is so bleak and leaves the reader with such an unsatisfying resolution to the story that it really works for me, because it's like one of those stories where it's like, yeah, the superhero doesn't always win at the end. Like, the good guys don't always win. Sometimes the bad guys get what they want, and what you didn't result to your goal. And I just really admire Robert Cormier's storytelling a lot there. Okay, so thank you and welcome to my channel, like I said again, and I look forward to making recommendations for you and reading comment in the comments on the videos, different questions you might have about um, about the recommendations, or if you want to make recommendations of your own in the comments, that's great. Really, this can be a great opportunity for us as educators to really share a lot of ideas to enhance learning for young people. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.